A man erased the bass line from his own hit song against his label's wishes, and it became his first number one. Another artist wrote his most famous song after getting turned away from a motel because he was black and was shot dead before it ever hit the radio. A third star was found in an elevator, and the world didn't know until that moment just how much pain he'd been hiding. 12 songs, 12 legends. Every single story is real, documented, and about to change the way you hear these records forever. This is R&BGROOVELore, and number one on this list will absolutely wreck you. Let's go. Number 12, Prince, When Doves Cry, 1984. In 1984, Prince handed Warner Brothers a song for the Purple Rain soundtrack, and the label immediately noticed something was missing. There was no bass line, not a mixing mistake. Prince had deliberately stripped it out after already recording one, because he wanted the track to feel exposed, almost naked. Executives pushed back hard. A pop song with no low end felt like commercial suicide to them. Prince refused to change it, insisted it stay exactly as strange as he'd made it, and released it anyway. When Doves Cry became his first number one single in America, and one of the boldest production choices in pop history. It's still studied by producers today as proof that breaking the rules can be the hit. Oh, maybe you're just like my mother. Decades later, on April 21st, 2016, Prince was found unresponsive in an elevator at his Paisley Park estate. He'd quietly battled severe hip pain for years, the result of decades performing in heels and jumping off risers, and the official investigation found he died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, hidden inside counterfeit pills he didn't know were dangerous. Behind him, he left a vault at Paisley Park, rumored to hold thousands of unreleased songs the world still hasn't heard. The song that broke every rule made him a legend. The secret he was hiding from everyone is still breaking hearts. Number 11, Isaac Hayes, theme from Shaft, 1971. Isaac Hayes only agreed to score the movie Shaft because the producers promised him something else entirely, an audition for the lead role. That audition never happened. The part went to Richard Roundtree instead. Hayes could have walked away right there, but he kept his word and wrote the score anyway, built around one driving guitar line he'd never used before. That decision became the biggest moment of his career.
Gone from this precinct for what?
At the 1972 Academy Awards, Theme from Shaft won Best Original Song, making Isaac Hayes the first black artist in history to win an Oscar outside of an acting category. He dedicated the win to his grandmother, whose prayers, he said, kept him on the right path. A promise that was broken turned into a promise that made history. That's Theme from Shaft. Not just a hit record, a door that had never been opened before. Number 10, Aretha Franklin, Respect, 1967. Respect wasn't originally Aretha Franklin's song at all. It was written and recorded first by Otis Redding, about a man coming home from work, demanding respect from his woman. Aretha and her sister Carolyn flipped the entire meaning inside out. They restructured the arrangement, added the spelled-out chorus, added the now-famous ad-libs, and turned a man's homecoming complaint into a woman's declaration of self-worth. It landed in 1967, right in the middle of the civil rights and women's rights movements. Otis Redding reportedly heard what she'd done to his song and admitted, almost stunned, that she had simply taken it from him. It became her signature song instead of his, forever. That's the twist behind Respect. It began as someone else's story, and Aretha Franklin rewrote whose song it was ever going to be. One recording session, and an anthem was born. Number 9, Teddy Pendergrass, Turn Off the Lights, 1980.
I wanna love you.
By 1980, Teddy Pendergrass had the most seductive voice in R&B. Turn Off the Lights wasn't just a hit, it was practically a mood-setting ritual in households across America. Then, 2 years later, everything changed in one instant. On March 18, 1982, Pendergrass lost control of his car on a Philadelphia road, hit a guardrail, and slammed into a tree. The crash broke his neck and left him paralyzed from the chest down. For months, he refused rehab. He later admitted he had contemplated giving up entirely. But 3 years later, in 1985, he rolled his wheelchair onto the Live Aid stage in his hometown, in front of nearly 100,000 people, watched by a broadcast audience in the hundreds of. The man who once made audiences swoon came back not walking, but singing, proving the voice never needed the legs. Turn Off the Lights is the hit. That Live Aid moment is the legend. Number 8, Minnie Riperton, Lovin' You, 1975.
Stay with me while we grow.
Lovin' You hit number 1 in 1975, instantly recognizable for that impossible, soaring whistle note near the end that almost no other singer could touch. What most fans never knew was what Minnie Riperton was already fighting behind the scenes. Just months after the song exploded, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, underwent a radical mastectomy, and doctors gave her about 6 months to live. She kept touring and recording anyway. She became one of the very first celebrities to speak publicly about breast cancer, and in 1978, President Jimmy Carter personally presented her with the American Cancer Society's Courage Award at the White House. She lived 3 years past that 6-month prognosis.
No one else.
On July 12, 1979, Minnie Riperton passed away in her husband's arms, listening to a song Stevie Wonder had recorded just for her. Her daughter, Maya Rudolph, would grow up to make the whole world laugh, carrying her mother's voice forward in a different way.
And every day of my
Number 7, Al Green, Let's Stay Together, 1971. Let's Stay Together made Al Green the smoothest voice in soul music, a plea for loyalty and devotion that topped the charts in 1971. 3 years later, loyalty is exactly what turned his own life upside down.
Why people break up.
On October 18, 1974, a woman Green had been seeing showed up at his Memphis home while he was bathing and poured a pot of boiling grits across his back. She then took her own life in another room, using his gun.
Times are good or bad.
Green suffered severe burns and endured months of skin grafts and recovery. He later said he took the entire ordeal as a sign from God. 2 years after that, in 1976, he bought a church and became an ordained pastor. The man who sang the smoothest love songs of the 70s walked away from pop stardom entirely to spend the rest of his career singing gospel. Let's Stay Together is the hit that made him famous. The tragedy right after is what changed who he became. Number 6. Curtis Mayfield, People Get Ready, 1965.
To hear the diesels humming, you don't.
Long before he was a solo star, Curtis Mayfield wrote People Get Ready with the Impressions in 1965, a gospel-rooted anthem that became one of the defining songs of the civil rights movement. Decades later, on a single stormy night, his own story took an unimaginable turn.
There ain't no room.
On August 13, 1990, Mayfield was about to take the stage at an outdoor concert in Brooklyn when a sudden gust of wind toppled a massive lighting rig above him. It struck him directly in the back of the neck, breaking 3 vertebrae instantly.
So people get ready.
He was left paralyzed from the neck down. His own drummer's bass drum is what stopped the falling truss from crushing him completely. Doctors said he'd never play guitar, or even grip an object normally, again.
There's a train a-coming.
But Curtis Mayfield still had one album left in him. He recorded his final record, New World Order, lying flat on his back, singing into a microphone above his face. People Get Ready told people to prepare for change. Mayfield himself proved just how much a person can endure.
The Lord.
Number 5. James Brown, It's a Man's World, 1966.
A woman or a girl.
By 1966, James Brown wasn't just a singer. He was the hardest working man in show business. And It's a Man's World became one of his most powerful ballads, a raw, gospel-drenched confession wrapped inside funk. But his most legendary night had nothing to do with a recording studio.
To carry the heavy load.
On April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and cities across America erupted into riots within hours. James Brown had a concert booked at the Boston Garden the very next night, and Boston's mayor feared the crowd itself could spark a riot. Instead of canceling, the mayor's office made an unusual decision. They convinced James Brown to let the concert be broadcast live on public television, so people would stay home in front of their TVs instead of filling the streets. Brown agreed, even though it meant losing ticket revenue from empty seats. During the show, when a few fans rushed the stage, James Brown personally stopped the music and calmed the entire arena himself, refusing to let security escalate it. That night, Boston stayed remarkably calm while other major cities burned. Decades later, historians still call it the night James Brown may have single-handedly kept a city from tearing itself apart.
Help the man make everything he can.
Number 4. Aaliyah, Are You That Somebody, 1998. Are You That Somebody didn't just become a hit in 1998. It redefined what R&B could sound like, with that whispered hook and Timbaland's futuristic production underneath Aaliyah's voice. It made her one of the most influential young artists of her generation.
I don't know if that's good. I've been holding.
3 years later, Aaliyah had just wrapped filming the music video for Rock the Boat on a small island in the Bahamas, and was eager to get home. She boarded a small chartered plane with 8 others for the short flight back to Florida.
We gon' hook it up while they talk on the phone, but see.
Investigators later confirmed the plane was overloaded by roughly 700 pounds, and the pilot, it turned out, wasn't even properly certified to fly that aircraft. The plane crashed just seconds after takeoff, killing everyone on board.
Boy, I've been watching you like the.
Aaliyah was only 22 years old, gone at the exact moment she was becoming one of the most important voices in R&B. Are You That Somebody is still the sound of an artist who was just getting started.
This secret from you, I probably shouldn't tell it.
Number 3. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, 1971.
Simply goes out every.
What's Going On almost never got released at all. Marvin Gaye wrote it after his brother Frankie came home from Vietnam, and described the horror he'd witnessed overseas. Motown boss Berry Gordy reportedly hated it, calling it uncommercial and unreleasable. Gaye refused to record anything else for Motown until the label agreed to put the song out. It became a massive hit anyway, reaching number 2 on the charts and forcing Motown to let him make an entire album built around it. That stubbornness changed soul music forever. What's Going On became one of the first mainstream black albums to directly confront war, poverty, addiction, and police brutality in America. Marvin Gaye had to fight his own record label just to tell the truth. It's still considered one of the greatest albums ever recorded, and it almost didn't exist, because one man refused to stay quiet. That's the real story behind What's Going On. Number 2. Otis Redding, Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, 1968. In early December 1967, Otis Redding walked into Stax Studios and recorded a quiet, reflective song about sitting by the water, watching the tide roll in, wasting time. It was a completely different sound from the raw, horn-driven soul that had made him famous.
I've had nothing to live for.
Just days after finishing it, Redding boarded a small plane that crashed into an icy lake in Wisconsin, killing him and most of his backing band, the Bar-Kays. He was only 26 years old.
Home in Georgia.
Dock of the Bay was released a few weeks later, posthumously, and it became Otis Redding's only #1 pop hit, the very first posthumous #1 single in American chart history. The whistling at the end wasn't planned as a grand artistic statement. It was simply what he did instead of a verse he hadn't finished writing.
Yes, I'll remain the same. Sitting.
A song about waiting for what comes next became the last thing Otis Redding ever gave the world. It's impossible to hear it now and not feel that.
Remains the same. I can't do.
Number 1. Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come, 1964.
But I'm afraid to die.
Sam Cooke was the smoothest, most polished voice in American music, a man who'd built his entire career on effortless charm. Then one night in 1963, he and his band tried to check into a whites-only motel in Louisiana and were turned away at the door.
A long time.
Around that same time, he heard a young folk singer named Bob Dylan release a protest song called Blowin' in the Wind, and it reportedly hit him like a gut punch. He felt embarrassed that a black artist hadn't written something that powerful first, so he sat down and wrote a song unlike anything he'd ever released.
A change gonna come.
He recorded A Change Is Gonna Come in early 1964, but he was nervous about it. It was too personal, too political, nothing like the polished pop hits that made him famous, so he sat on it for months.
But he wind up.
Then, on December 11th, 1964, weeks before that single ever hit the radio, Sam Cooke was shot dead at a motel in Los Angeles, under circumstances people still argue about today. He never lived to see his own song become the anthem of a movement.
Now I think I'm able.
12 legends, 12 songs. 12 stories that made them mean so much more than just great music. If one of these songs has ever meant something to you, tell us which one down in the comments. And if you think we missed a legend who deserves to be on this list, drop their name below, because here on R&BGROOVELore, we'll keep digging up the truth behind the music. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.